Funny thing about people, they'll dress up their wounds, paint over their cracks, and pretend the sickness isn't eating them alive. They'll smile, laugh, shake your hand, and swear everything's fine while the rot festers underneath. Masks on top of masks, lies stacked on lies. But here's the part they never expect. The truth doesn't stay buried forever. The moment always comes when the light rips through the dark, when what they tried to hide becomes impossible to cover. They thought they could hide it forever, didn't they? Wrap it up in pretty little lies, cover it with polite smiles, paint over it with excuses, thinking the cracks would never show. But sickness, real sickness, it doesn't stay quiet. It lurks, it festers. It seeps into the edges of their performance until the mask starts to slip. And when it slips, you finally see the rot underneath. People believe if they ignore the infection long enough, it goes away. They call it strength. But really, it's fear dressed up in fancy words. They choke down their truth, they bury it, thinking silence is safety, but silence is poison. You can't bottle it up without it eventually exploding. And when it explodes, it isn't gentle, it isn't pretty. It's violent, it's loud, and it reveals everything they wanted hidden. The sickness isn't just in the body, it's in the soul, the mind, the spirit. Some drag it around like chains, pretending they're free. They laugh at the right moments, nod when they're supposed to, but deep down, they're rotting. You can smell it if you stand close enough, the stench of denial. But they still think they can fool everyone, fool themselves, even fool God. Isn't that the funniest part? Believing the one who sees every thought, every heartbeat, every secret can be tricked with a little makeup, a rehearsed line, a charming mask. But masks crack, and when they do, it's not you who decides when the truth comes out. It's bigger than you, stronger than you. That revelation doesn't ask for permission. It rips the curtains down and shows the sickness in daylight. And the reveal, that's the moment no one prepares for. They prepare for success, for applause, for being loved. But they never prepare for their sickness to be put on display. They think exposure is shame, but in reality it's judgment. Not from men, not from critics, but from something higher, a divine interruption. You think you've buried the evidence, but God digs it back up, dusts it off, and places it right in front of you, and the crowd sees. And you see, no more pretending, no more running. That's the part that cuts. The running is over. You've been caught, not by hands, but by truth itself. People don't like that. They want control. They want the timing to be theirs. They want to confess when they're ready, reveal when it's safe, explain when they've rehearsed their lines. But when God reveals it, it doesn't come with your script. It comes raw, unedited, unpolished. You're exposed in your weakest, ugliest form, and the world sees you without your costume. That's the sickness. Not just the disease itself, but the obsession with hiding it. The sickness is the mask, the lie. The act of pretending you're whole when you're breaking. And that sickness eats you alive faster than the illness ever could. You ever notice how the truth feels violent? It doesn't whisper politely. It crashes in. Like glass shattering, like thunder splitting the silence. That's how revelation comes. It doesn't wait for you to open the door. It kicks it down. And when that happens, your sickness isn't a secret anymore. Everyone sees the limp, the cracks, the wounds. They see the fraud in your strength, the shadow behind your smile. And isn't that the most terrifying thing? That all your energy spent hiding could be undone in a single moment. But the funny part, the part they never realize, is that the exposure is mercy. God doesn't reveal it to laugh at you. He reveals it to free you. To rip the chains, to tear down the walls, to pull the poison out into the open where it can't grow anymore. Yet, to the one being revealed, it feels like death, like humiliation, like punishment. Because people confuse revelation with destruction. They think when the sickness is shown, they're finished. But no, they're just stripped bare. The sickness was already killing them in the shadows. The reveal just drags it into the light. And light, no matter how harsh, is the only place healing can start. Still, they cling to the mask until the last second, don't they? Afraid of being seen, afraid of being judged, afraid of losing the illusion they built. But illusions don't last. Illusions burn away in fire, and the truth always survives. So, the sickness that was hidden, it always finds its way out. Through cracks in the smile. Through the tone of the voice, through the restless nights where the mind won't shut off. And when God finally decides enough is enough, He doesn't just whisper it in secret. He reveals it loud, public, undeniable. The sickness they hid becomes the story everyone sees. And in that chaos, in that violent exposure, the truth stands taller than the mask ever did. They thought distance would protect them, didn't they? Like if they tucked themselves away, if they smiled enough, acted strong enough, no one would suspect a thing. It's the oldest trick in the book. Hide the wound, walk straight, pretend you're fine, and maybe the world will buy it. But what they never understand is this sickness has a way of speaking for itself. You can bury it, disguise it, polish it, but it still leaks out in the little moments. In the way they snap too quickly, in the way their eyes don't match their smile, in the way silence weighs heavier than their words. You can't mute what's eating you from the inside. The problem with people is they love control. They want to choose the stage, the spotlight, the timing of their reveal. But life, it doesn't work like that. Truth doesn't wait for you to feel comfortable. It doesn't care about your schedule or your ego. It erupts when it's ready, and when it does, there's no hiding. And that's what terrifies them the most. It's not just the sickness. It's the fact that they never get to decide when the mask falls. They spent all that time trying to look perfect, but perfection is paper thin. One gust of truth and it tears. And when it tears, you're left naked in front of everyone you swore you could fool. You know what's funny? They thought they could outsmart the truth. Like it's negotiable. Like lies can hold it back forever. But truth isn't a gentleman. It doesn't knock politely. It crashes through the door, rips away the curtains, exposes every crack you've painted over. You thought you were safe because no one noticed, but someone always notices. Maybe not the crowd, maybe not your friends, but there's always one pair of eyes that sees what you tried to bury. And once it's seen, it can't be unseen. That's the cruelty and the beauty of exposure. And the sickness doesn't even have to be physical. No, it can be anger, jealousy, greed, lust, bitterness. All those cancers of the soul. The kind people dress up, polish, and parade around as ambition, confidence, or strength. But deep down, they're corroding, and eventually, that corrosion eats through the mask. That's when the laughter sounds hollow, when the charm feels forced, when the "I'm fine" starts to sound like a lie even to themselves. And once the cracks show, the whole act unravels. They can't control it anymore. That's when God steps in, not quietly, not subtly, but violently. Because exposure isn't gentle, it's brutal. It strips you, humiliates you, and yet it saves you. Because as long as it's hidden, you're trapped. As long as it's in the dark, it grows. You might call the reveal destruction, but it's really liberation. You're not being destroyed. Your prison is. But people don't see that. They scream, they curse, they panic when the sickness is dragged out into the light. They don't realize it's the only way they'll ever be free. Think about it. The ones who hide the most are usually the ones bleeding the deepest. They're not strong. They're suffocating. And their silence doesn't make them brave. It makes them slaves to their own disease. They keep it hidden because they fear judgment. But what they don't see is that the exposure isn't about judgment. It's about rescue. The reveal is the knife that cuts the chains. The light feels harsh, but the dark was killing them faster. Still, they cling to the shadows, begging to stay unseen, because they're more comfortable dying in silence than living in the light. But comfort is the real sickness, isn't it? That obsession with appearances, that desperate need to keep control. It blinds them to the reality that sooner or later, the truth wins, always. And when it wins, it doesn't matter how good you've been at acting, how flawless your disguise looked, or how many believed your story. The truth is patient, but it is merciless. It waits until the moment it will hurt the most, until the silence is too loud to ignore, until the reveal shakes the ground under your feet. And then it comes, loud, undeniable, terrifying. The sickness you thought you'd buried is suddenly front and center, and there's no going back to the shadows. That's why hiding is always a losing game. Because while you think you're protecting yourself, you're only building pressure. And pressure doesn't vanish. It explodes. It always does. And when it does, the reveal isn't a whisper, it's a scream. And the sickness they hid becomes the headline. The spectacle, the undeniable truth they swore would never come to light. They run from pain, as if it were a monster waiting in the shadows. But what they don't realize is pain is the teacher they've been ignoring their whole lives. People spend so much energy numbing it, hiding from it, pretending it doesn't exist, when in reality, it's the one thing that's been trying to save them. Pain doesn't show up to ruin you. No, it shows up to remind you that you're still alive, that you're still capable of change. That something inside you still feels enough to scream. The ones who say, "I don't feel anything," those are the ones you should worry about. Because numbness isn't strength, it's surrender. At least when you hurt, you know you're still in the fight. But here's the funny part. Pain isn't polite. It doesn't knock. It doesn't ask for permission. It storms in, rips the curtains down, and sits right in the middle of your life, like it owns the place. And people hate it for that. They curse it, despise it, try to drown it with distractions. Pills, alcohol, parties, fake smiles. Oh, the list goes on. But no matter how far they run, pain always finds them again. It doesn't go away just because you ignore it. It waits. Patient, relentless. It waits until the noise fades, until the bottle empties, until the fake friends leave. And then it whispers, "I'm still here." That whisper is the sound of truth, and truth doesn't leave just because you don't like it. The real joke is, pain is not the enemy. It's the alarm. It tells you where the wound is. It points you to what's broken. It screams, "Look here. Fix this. Heal this." But instead of listening, people try to silence it. Imagine a fire alarm going off, and instead of putting out the fire, you just smash the alarm to pieces. That's what they do with their pain. They numb it, silence it, cover it, and then they're surprised when the whole house burns down. Pain never came to destroy you. It came to wake you up. It came to stop you from dying slowly. But people would rather lie blind than confront the blaze. And let's not pretend pain is only physical. No. The real torment is the kind that gnaws at your heart, the kind that whispers when you're alone, the kind that won't let you sleep. Betrayal, loss, failure, regret. Those are the aches you can't put a bandage on. And those are the ones people try the hardest to bury. They dress them up, smile through them, say, "I'm fine," when they're not. But the body remembers, the soul remembers, and eventually it leaks through. A sudden breakdown, a rage that doesn't match the situation, a silence that feels like a scream. Pain has a way of showing itself, whether you give it permission or not. But here's the beauty: pain is the sculptor of strength. Without it, you'd stay fragile, weak, hollow. Pain carves you, shapes you, breaks pieces off that were never meant to stay. Every scar is a signature, proof that you walked through the fire and didn't stay ash. People want strength, they want power, they want resilience, but they don't want to earn it. They want the crown without the thorns. They want the victory without the battle. But it doesn't work like that. Strength is rented, and the currency is pain. And the ones who embrace it, who let it teach them, who bleed and still keep walking, those are the ones who can't be broken anymore. Yet most don't see that. They curse pain, call it unfair, call it punishment. They don't see it's a gift in disguise. You think diamonds are born shining. No, they're formed under pressure, under heat, under conditions most things would shatter in. You think steel is strong just because. No, it's hammered, melted, forged. Everything valuable, everything enduring is born from suffering. So why would humans be any different? Why would greatness be the exception? You want to be untouchable, unshakable, unbreakable. Then you have to bleed for it. You have to embrace the hurt instead of running from it. That's the deal life makes with you. And pain, it never lies. People lie. Appearances lie. But pain tells you the truth whether you're ready for it or not. If you're hurting, it means something has to change. If you're bleeding, it means something inside you still works, still fights. That ache in your chest, that weight in your gut, it's not there to kill you. It's there to transform you. The cruelest trick is that the very thing you're trying to escape is the one thing that can set you free. Pain is the gatekeeper to strength, and most people spend their lives running from the door instead of walking through it. They wear masks, every single one of them. Not just the painted smiles you see at parties. Not just the polite nods they give when you ask how they're doing. No, I mean the masks stitched into their skin, the lies they've convinced themselves are true. People live double lives, and sometimes even triple, all to avoid showing what's rotting underneath. They put on the "I'm fine" mask, the "I'm successful." mask. The "I've got it all together" mask, while deep down they're suffocating. You can almost hear the cracks forming if you listen closely, but they'd rather bleed behind closed doors than risk anyone seeing the truth. It's funny, isn't it? They think they're hiding something, but the sickness always shows. Not the kind you treat with medicine, no, the sickness of the soul. The kind that spreads like smoke in a room. You can smell it in their words. You can see it in their eyes. The way their laughter feels forced, their kindness rehearsed. They think if they say the right things, wear the right clothes, smile at the right times, no one will notice. But truth has a way of leaking through the seams. You can't hide rot forever. Eventually, the stench becomes too strong, and people realize the smile was nothing but paint covering a corpse. The world teaches them that weakness is a crime. Don't show your pain. Don't show your fear. Don't let anyone see the cracks. So they cover it, polish it, bury it under fake confidence. But that's the real sickness. Not the pain itself, but the refusal to face it. When you deny what's killing you, it doesn't disappear, it grows. It multiplies. It spreads until it owns you. They carry it into their jobs, their relationships, their friendships, infecting everything around them. People think hiding is safety, but it's really the cage, a slow, suffocating death. And here's the twisted part. They think no one notices. They think the mask is perfect, seamless, unbreakable. But it's not. Everyone around them can see the cracks, feel the weight, sense the falseness. Some are just too polite to say it. Others are too busy wearing their own masks to care. It's a masquerade ball. An endless dance where everyone's pretending, spinning in circles with painted faces, too afraid to rip the mask off and breathe. And when one finally slips, when the sickness spills out, everyone gasps, points, laughs. They don't realize they're all infected too. The sickness they hide isn't weakness, it's truth. And truth always has a way of crawling out, dragging itself into the light, no matter how deep you bury it. You can lie to yourself for years, build walls around your secrets, but eventually something cracks. A mistake, a breakdown, a slip of the tongue, and suddenly the whole world sees what you've been hiding. And it's ugly, it's raw, it's terrifying, but it's also real, and reality has more power than any illusion ever could. That's why the sickness gets revealed. Because lies are fragile things, and truth, even when it's grotesque, has the strength to outlast them. People don't want to face themselves, because if they did, they'd realize the sickness isn't just in others, it's in them too. And that's what terrifies them. They'd rather point fingers, laugh at someone else's downfall, whisper about someone else's secrets, because it keeps them distracted from their own. But when the lights go out and the room is quiet, when there's no audience to perform for, that's when the mask slips. That's when they see the sickness in the mirror. And that's why they look away so quickly. They can't stand to stare too long, because the reflection is honest in a way they've never dared to be. You see, when the sickness is revealed, it doesn't ruin you. No, it exposes you. And exposure feels like death to people who've built their lives on pretense. They'd rather be adored for the mask than hated for the truth. But the truth doesn't ask permission, doesn't wait for the right moment, doesn't care about your timing. It crashes in, rips the disguise away, and leaves you naked in front of the world. And the world is cruel, yes. But there's something liberating in that nakedness. The lie is heavy, the mask suffocates, but when it's gone, when the sickness is dragged out, you can finally breathe. Even if the air burns, the sickness isn't the enemy. Hiding it is. Because when you hide it, it festers, it controls you. When it's revealed, at least you can see it, confront it, fight it. The irony is that the very thing people fear, being exposed, being seen for what they really are, is the only thing that could ever free them from the chains they've built for themselves. But fear keeps them locked away. Fear keeps the masks glued on. Fear keeps the sickness spreading until there's nothing left but the performance. They think silence keeps them safe. That if they bite their tongue, look away, keep their secrets locked up tight, the storm will pass and no one will notice. But silence doesn't save you. It strangles you. It wraps around your throat like a rope, tighter and tighter, until one day you can't breathe anymore. People confuse silence with strength, but it's not strength, it's fear in disguise. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of being seen for who they really are. And while they're busy swallowing their words, the sickness inside them grows teeth. It feeds on silence, it thrives in secrecy, and the longer they keep quiet, the more power it gains. You've seen it before. The ones who smile the widest are the ones screaming the loudest when no one's around. The ones who play the role of perfection are the ones rotting underneath, suffocating on everything they never dared to say. They walk through life rehearsed, predictable, controlled, but the mask always slips when no one's watching. In the dark, the silence eats at them. It whispers lies, amplifies their doubts, convinces them that if anyone saw the truth, they'd run away. And so they bury themselves deeper, thinking silence is survival. But survival without truth is just slow death.